Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about who the real winner of the 2024 election will be. And before I start this video, I got to tell you, I am still going to vote Trump, because I think Trump is best for small business owners. Also, I think Trump is going to be better at taking us through a crisis, because I think the U.S. is definitely going to face a crisis either next year or the year after. And I also think Trump would be better at leading us through the Great Reset, because the Great Reset is already happening in real time, and you see evidence of it everywhere you look. So let's get started. The Great Reset is a global agenda that benefits corporations by allowing them to consolidate power and control under the guise of addressing global crises like the pandemic and climate change. Now, if you've never heard of the Great Reset before, you might have heard of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Build Back Better, Agenda 2030. They're all one and the same. How does the Great Reset end? It ends with them having total control over everyone. How would they gain that control? Through programmable money, digital ID, social credit score. To have a better understanding and know that we're already in the midst of the Great Reset, all you got to do is look around this circle. You even see Fourth Industrial Revolution there, and you see 5G, blockchain, digital ID. But it goes beyond that. It even ties in with the green agenda. It ties in with taxation, vaccination, future of computing, quantum computing, things like that. But we are already on the road to the Great Reset. I think it will end with that financial freeze that everyone is predicting. Once they freeze the current financial system, all of a sudden the power goes out and everything goes down. And when everything comes back up and running, we will have a new financial system. I think that is the end game. But let's get back to who the real winner of the 2024 election will be. Take a listen to Whitney Webb here.
Well, I think this is something that's much larger than just BlackRock specifically, but in terms of looking at what BlackRock has done in terms of U.S. fiscal policy, I think it's important to sort of look at their role in, the '08 crisis, which began the policy of quantitative easing, and later on they were called upon by the Trump administration to help develop COVID fiscal response. But actually it began before then. So in the fall of 2019 at Jackson Hole, and this is also, should point out, this is based on the very excellent research of John Titus of the YouTube channel Best Evidence. Essentially, this document was presented by BlackRock to central bankers at Jackson Hole. It was called Going Direct, is what they called it. And basically the idea was to have what was generated via quantitative easing, not just go to public sector affiliated entities, but also directly into the hands of the private sector, i.e. Wall Street. And that was essentially what was proposed. And this begins to be implemented well before COVID, when the repo market goes a bit haywire at the end of 2019, and sort of continues through up until COVID was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, at which point there's a lot of calls between Larry Fink and Steve Mnuchin and other top figures and the economic team of the Trump administration. And then they begin to basically affect this policy, or really supercharge this policy and go direct even more. So there's a lot of, things that are happening in terms of economic policy that ultimately resulted in what we're dealing with now, I guess, debasement of U.S. American consumer purchasing power. But a lot of this money at a time when there were lockdowns and there was really very little economic activity going on, they're being given all of this, people like BlackRock asset managers are being given all of this money, and then they go And instead of helping out Main Street, they go up and buy up all the assets. They buy shares in their own ETFs, for example. And basically what happened during COVID was a massive wealth transfer. And if you look at the statistics of it, the top 1% in the United States benefited hugely during COVID, but the rest of us did not. Maybe some people got stimulus in that, but a lot of the consequences downstream of those policies have resulted in this inflationary situation we're in and a lot of other, economic issues that people are dealing with. And so BlackRock sort of, I would argue, oversaw, these wealth transfers sort of, to the benefit of Wall Street and not Main Street. And it seems like, if there is another crisis coming down the pike, which it seems there is, BlackRock is likely to do essentially the same thing, whatever policy they help design. And it really should be a point of public discussion why BlackRock has so much influence over what the Treasury Department does or what the Federal Reserve does. And really, as far as U.S. COVID fiscal policy is concerned, which, by the way, even though that was started under Trump, a lot of this continued through into the Biden administration, who, again, Biden's top economic people are former BlackRock executives. Why is this particular asset manager on Wall Street so embedded with the development of U.S. fiscal policy, which at times when that fiscal policy is meant to help regular Americans, it has not been doing that when BlackRock is involved. And really, this is something that most Americans don't even know happened,
So think about it like this, okay? So what she covered there was how BlackRock had ties to both Trump, Biden, and Harris, and how BlackRock is already embedded into the U.S. financial system. And that's why I said, the real winner in this 2024 election is going to end up being BlackRock in the end. But BlackRock and the U.S. government goes back longer than we think. Take a listen to Joe Biden here.
That includes Mr. Fink. I call you Larry, I'm calling you Mr. Fink. But we go back a long way. BlackRock and Mr. Nadella of Microsoft. An outfit that we know well home. Today, BlackRock and other partners are committing to invest at least $4 billion toward infrastructure projects that align with our PGI priorities.
So think about that. BlackRock is donating money to the U.S. government like a pay-to-play. But we already know BlackRock's going to make that money back as soon as the next crisis shows up. Because every time there's a crisis, the U.S. government relies on BlackRock. Trump did it, Obama did it, and I'm sure it goes back even before Obama, because I think we started really pushing into the Great Reset with the first Bush back in the early 90s. I think it's been escalating since then, but they didn't have any way of pushing us into a slavery system or a new financial system. That didn't happen until crypto came about and the rise of blockchain. Once that happened, that accelerated things even more. And now they created this small window for the Great Reset to happen. And that's why things are speeding up even more today than ever before. In the coming days, Harris plans on releasing a policy platform focused on lifting up the middle class. Two of her advisors are former BlackRock investors. A third is a Ford lobbyist who served as a legislative director for Rahm Emanuel. Now, this is the problem I have the most with Harris, because I've been talking about the Great Reset for a while now. And what's holding back the Great Reset? The middle class. They have to wipe out the middle class first. So why is she all of a sudden pushing the idea of lifting up the middle class while she's working with advisors from BlackRock? Because we already know BlackRock's agenda. It's one world, everything. They don't even care about Bitcoin. They care about blockchain, though, and they also care about tokenizing things because they want to tokenize people through digital identity. They also know clear well what Ripple is. You could bet on that. Let's get back to Trump for a minute. So Ivanka Trump, a World Economic Forum young global leader, confirmed by the White House. Now you could go to the World Economic Forum website, type in her name, and you will see she was a young global leader. So why would Trump send his daughter to become a young global leader at the World Economic Forum? And here is Trump shaking hands with Klaus Schwab. And take note what Trump says.
Well, we've loved it. We think it's a great country, a beautiful country, and we have had a tremendous success.
Yeah, great success.
And this gentleman, as you know, he's done a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Trump says Klaus Schwab is doing a great job. Why would he say that? Well, let's go back to 2018 for a minute. What happened then? Trump was meeting with Ripple. Trump signed that executive order that I think put us on the path of a digital dollar. I think Trump is also on path with the elite agenda. In other words, I don't think he's going to do anything to stop the elite agenda. Even though he said the U.S. is not going to have a CBDC, he knows we are going to have a CBDC. We have to get one because the rest of the world is going to have one. So if the U.S. does not have a central bank digital currency, we are going to be left behind the rest of the world. And that's why I think when they finally do announce a CBDC, they're going to announce it as a digital dollar stablecoin. But a stablecoin is a CBDC, or a CBDC is a stablecoin issued by the U.S. government. That's all a CBDC is. And they're going to give it some sort of fancy name, I'm sure of it. But let's get back to BlackRock. So BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says Bitcoin, other cryptos have bright future regardless of whether Trump or Harris becomes president. How could he say that? Because when you own both sides, you always come out a winner. That's why Larry can say that. So in this next election, I think the only real winner is going to be BlackRock. And when you talk about BlackRock, people still don't realize BlackRock, in my opinion, is a shell company that was set up by the elites back in 1988. The next big thing that's going to happen in the United States, in my opinion, is going to be the financial freeze, where they freeze the entire financial system. And anybody that has money in the bank, I'm talking about any amount of money, substantial amount of money, doesn't matter. They are going to get wiped out. You either have to be holding gold and silver or certain cryptocurrencies. Gold and silver because it's material value. You can hold it in your hand. Nothing is going to wipe that value away. Gold and silver will always have value. Utility-driven cryptocurrencies are what they're using to build out the new digital system. So once the new financial system rises, it's going to be a digital financial system. You are holding what the system runs on. You are holding the cryptocurrencies that are tied to that system when you're holding utility-driven cryptocurrencies like XRP, XLM, XDC, QNT. The list goes on and on. But I think we will be transacting in crypto inside that new financial system, most likely on the parallel system that all the other rich elites will be using. And you don't even have to be an elite. You could be a multimillionaire and be transacting in crypto instead of CBDC. I think that's why the BIS and the IMF created that parallel system, because they knew anybody that has any substantial amount of money, it's going to be hard to get them to shift to a trackable system. They had to create an alternative. And if you're holding the right cryptocurrencies, you can get away from a CBDC. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I am still voting Trump. I think he's better qualified to take us through the next crisis. And I also think he's a better leader to take us through the Great Reset. But I really don't think he's going to stop it. But I want to know what your opinions are. Put it in the comments section down below. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.